Hi guys, welcome to the Honey Podcast. We are back again this week, and this is Danny.
And this is Jodie.
And this week we are talking about artists and how they use their platform for social justice. What we're going to do, of course, I am sure many of you guys know a lot of bands and artists have been getting super involved with using their platform for the better. But what we're going to do is we're going to break it down to a few of our faves and a few really, really awesome artists that have done a lot for the for I guess the world in general, using their platform for different advocacies, like for example, Black Lives Matter, for feminism and Women's March, things like that. So yeah, we're just going to go through and talk about a couple of those artists. And how about you pick who wants to go first?
Well, for me, it's a pretty easy one. It's going to be 5 Seconds of Summer with their organisation We Are Friends, or We Are FOF, if you see it on the website. And so basically what they've done is pretty cool. They started out with making shows, having other artists perform, getting fans to buy the tickets, and the proceeds would be donated to charities that they had chosen, so usually ones relevant to the area where they're performing. Mm-hmm. Like they did one in Australia, and because of the Australian fires, and the proceeds went to Red Cross. Mm-hmm. And then I believe it was when at the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, they couldn't obviously perform with everything that was happening in the world, but they did fundraisers for the Trans Women of Colour Collective by selling merch. And they've supported LGBTQ plus charities like the Trevor Project. And also at the moment, they're trying to encourage US citizens to register to vote and have their voice heard. With doing that, they are selling merchandise as well to promote, and I believe that's part of the fundraising process as well. And what's also really cool is they also use that platform not to just alongside those things, they're promoting it through having artists create the merchandise, the art on the merchandise, and giving them a platform to promote themselves as well. And I just think it's incredibly cool what they've done, pretty selflessly, because they don't have to do it, and they did it before the world started going crazy. They were already there doing it. And yeah, if you are watching instead of listening, I have a dog deciding that she wants to make her first appearance. So yeah, this is Binky. But yeah, so if she barks during the podcast, I'm really sorry, but she's cute enough to get away with it. But yeah, so I definitely think it's cool. Sorry for getting sidetracked there. That people are people in their position that don't necessarily have to do something. Whether they should or shouldn't be is a different subject, but the fact is that they're doing it because they want to help.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've recruited so many of their friends along the way to perform with them, to help fundraise. I think it was the LA show they did, All Time Low performed at that show with them. And that was even just those two bands alone is going to be one hell of a show. But so many other artists performed as well. And they're all the people that perform with them that are giving their time to this cause as well, which is just so cool. And yeah, I just think it's incredibly awesome what they're doing. You're not have you got a next pick for us? Binky is intrigued. Sure.
So what I want to say about 5 Seconds of Summer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
No, you're fine. No worries. But all I was going to say is I did not know going in did not know as much as you do about what they have been doing, which is like why I am excited that you knew so much. But they've been, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they've been doing this, like you said, before a lot of this stuff had beginning to happen. And when like you said, the world got a little crazy, they've been kind of using their platform for a lot of this stuff beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, We Are Friends of Friends itself is relatively new as an organisation, but it was before 2020 it was set up. But as a band collectively, they have always been the type of people to stand up and remind fans things alongside mental health, like it's okay not to be okay. And Michael's iconic tweet, real bands save fans, real fans save bands.
Yeah.
I might have got it the wrong way around, but the message is the same. And being very open with their own struggles and letting us know that they've always been there in that sense as well. And with how open they are, it makes you feel more comfortable as a fan having that open dialogue with people in your life as well. I mean, even with Ashton now coming out with his first single that was Skinny Skinny, with mentions of body dysmorphia and self-identity struggles and things like that. It's just a stark reminder that it doesn't matter how what your platform is, that like we're all the same and we all have our issues and we all have our own little internal battles we're struggling and it's great that people with a larger voice, because of their influence and platform, are using it to remind us that we're not the only ones, and encouraging us to talk about it more. So I've got great admiration in respect to that and many other things. And they've always been very accepting, and that with LGBTQ plus fans like myself, they'll fly the flags across their shoulders at performances and shows and things like that. And it's just a lot of people will honestly say that I believe most of my friends would for sure. 5 seconds of summer shows are a lot of people's safe places, because it doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. At 5 seconds of summer show, you're going to be accepted, and it's just a really loving, friendly, and pardon the pun, calm atmosphere until then the music kicks in and you're all united. And it's just incredible. And the fact that they're doing so much for people and raising money for so many good, awesome causes. I've got so much respect for them. As you could tell, I could go on and talk about them for ages. But
I totally agree. I love it too, because like you said, I think it's so important, and it used to be such a taboo type of topic to talk about, in music. Like, it was music and politics and social justice, and it was all separate. And now we have we're just a different generation, and it's really awesome to see like all our favorite bands and stuff kind of jump in and being allies and being advocates for all these different things that are going on in the world. And I think they have done an amazing job at it. And I think that it's really cool that we have like such big people, big artists and influence in the world doing this for people. So it's awesome. And before I run off too much, I'll pick our next person, and I'm gonna pick this one for a couple different reasons. But I'm gonna pick Halsey because I pick her because honestly, at first I used to be a hater on her. Wow. I don't know why. I guess because, again, we've talked about this before, I have always kind of leaned a little bit more to pop punk and all that stuff. But we're being with the Honey Pop, I have gotten into her, and I have so much respect for her, not only as an artist, but as a person as well, just because she is just badass and she does what she wants, and it's amazing. And
Yeah.
On an artist level. Like, if you hate her, it's because you're like me and you're not giving her a chance. I promise you, she's amazing.
She really is, and she's just such
And
a great soul.
yeah, that's just her as an artist. But she has done like monumental work with all kinds of different platforms. She's partnered with Bernie Sanders. She has a podcast with him. She has done a lot for Black Lives Matter and protesting, as well as, who do we have now?
Josh.
And she did something called the Black Creators Fund, where she does like this fund for Black creators and them getting their start and their voices out, which is amazing. She's been a constant advocate for mental health, which again is amazing, and not to mention it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So not only is it important across the entire board of mental health, but I think being an advocate for all these different type of organizations in itself is good for mental health and for everyone's mental health. So I think it just coincides. And she's done tons for the LGBTQ plus community. She's done stuff for Women's March. And she even has gone as far to like, I read something about her talking about how she doesn't see herself as the perfect activist, which I think it just, again, shows what an awesome person she is and how down to earth she is. And, you know, how she is aware that she's not perfect and she's not doing every single thing that she can, but she's really trying to be a voice, a positive voice for the generation. And
Yeah.
I just think she's awesome.
I just think, I mean, I think she's incredible in general, just like a lot of what you said, I'm going to kind of be repeating, but the fact that, you know, as a biracial, bisexual woman using her platform, and I think she's bisexual, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But yeah, the fact that she's using her platform in such a strong, articulate way, like down to her tweets. Even her tweets are very mindful, and she's also very responsive and polite. Like if someone's trying to like be like educate other people on her, I'm sure in her notice, I'm sure. But the fact that she's with Black Lives Matter, she was not just marching, but she was a medic helping injured people. She had packs. I mean, I saw another person who is does some awesome activism that we weren't going to plan to talk about today. It was Elijah Daniel, and when he was marching with his friends and stuff, he went live a couple of times, and Halsey was in a couple of those lives, and it was because, like, you know, he was going and giving some people in that group some supplies. But yeah, injured people that were on the side of the path, and there are photos out there online of her tending to them and her helping them. And you know, one is a dangerous place for anyone to be, but anywhere one who can be recognized, putting themselves in that position too. Don't get me wrong, I know they're doing exactly the same thing, but when you're someone who's easily recognized as well, you're putting yourself in an even more vulnerable position, which just shows you how selfless she is as a human. She just, you know, she's very aware that we're all the same and we all deserve to be treated the same. And the fact that she's hopefully had a few people that may have looked in the past and not known that they were being performative allies, she's used her voice and made them realize that maybe they were, and like, you know, how they should be helping and what they should be doing. And I myself have certainly, as someone who has always supported these issues completely, feel like it's so awesome that it's sad that it's come to the point where people have had to be so loud, but at the same time, it's great to see all the people that are being loud using it the correct way. Especially, and the fact that she's also, I mean, I know she's aligned herself by doing the podcast with Bernie Sanders, but I think that's also really cool because it is it's giving, because she's obviously got quite a young demographic as well. She's going to be having fans listen to this podcast that would have never watched a political debate before, or never really looked much into politics, but she's given them that option to actually educate themselves while not just hearing his opinion, but hearing hers too. And hopefully that will have them going away, forming their own opinions and looking things up and trying to educate themselves even more. So yeah, much respect. So I'm sorry if I repeated a lot of what you said, but yeah.
Like you said, you mentioned some stuff that I actually wasn't even aware of, like her being a medical like assistant to like that, and
she's basically doing first aid, but yeah, she didn't have to do that, which just shows you.
Right.
And it kind of leads on to the next person who she used to spend a lot of time with, which is Youngblood, because he was there with her doing the same thing.
Right. That is actually exactly who I was going to jump to next. So great minds think alike. But yeah, I agree. I wrote in my notes, that they are good friends, which they had a brief period of dating. But it makes sense that they're friends because they both stand for the same things. He has been a really awesome advocate across Black Lives Matter. And then he also is like very open about his sexuality and his gender fluidness, which I think is something that is pretty prominent right now. I mean, in the world, and I just think that he makes it feel so natural, and things are so easy for him to show his emotions and stuff. And he's always rocking the cutest dresses. I love him. I think he's amazing. I think he's adorable.
Totally. Yeah, I do. I've gone and seen him live, and even, I started off like mid-center, but by the end of the show, I'm older than the average fan, so I was at the back. But even from the back row, you could feel his energy and his presence, and the fact that he, a lot of him is what I would say the old punk would have stood for, in the sense that we're like, he says, not me, I'm a bit older, but the new generation have got a voice and we're going to use it, and we're not going to take this shit anymore.
Right.
And we're going to be ourselves, whether you're ready for it or not. And some people may take that as it's coming across quite aggressively, but I don't at all. I love the fact that he's letting younger people know it's okay to be weird. It's okay to be if you've got a weird hobby that no one else has, so what? That's what makes you cool. That's what makes you you. And then on the next breath, they're advocating for equal rights for everybody, no matter their sexuality, their color, or anything like that. And he's not just vocal about it from his socials. He's got a lot of it in his lyrics as well.
Yeah.
And I also feel like that's pretty iconic, and yeah, fair play to him. I feel like he's come from someone who was like a UK, I think he was a UK Disney star, and he's come from that and then come out onto the scene, and a lot of people questioned the transition for a while.
Yeah.
But he's being his true authentic self, and he's basically telling everyone else to do the same thing, and I love him for that. Totally love him for that.
Totally. So, I love it. I love his total attitude and his demeanor. I just think, he's just
talking about him just makes me smile. Actually, he's just such a cool guy. I would just love to meet him and just say thank you, mate. That's all I want to do. Just shake his hand, go, thanks, mate. The music, you're awesome.
He'd just be like someone that would be fun to hang out with and cool to hang out with, because he is just so just a good person. You can see and feel it.
So what I was going to say, you were telling me, I've seen a little bit about it, but as someone who lives in the UK, about Headcount. So I want to be educated about Headcount. And for people that may be checking out this podcast that live in the US that don't know about it, it would be pretty cool for them to learn too.
Sure. So I know Headcount is a organization that has been partnering with some different things, like they partner with different venues, different festivals, and different artists themselves. And what they're doing is they're kind of creating these like things and incentives to get people to register to vote, or if you are registered to vote already, to like update your like registration and all that stuff. So it's been really cool. I know that the Honey Pop has covered a couple different artists. I know myself, I've covered a couple that have done partnerships. For example, the Wonder Years, one of my favorites, of course. I have to throw
Wallow,
that in.
one of my favorites. Yeah, I saw the Wallow,
Yeah, and
Wallow.
Wallows as well. They did like unreleased song type things. Like so many, if they do so many people register under their like link or whatever, then they'll release a new song. Or if you register or check your registration, you get an unreleased song, stuff like that. But their list of artists that they have is just like phenomenal. They have everywhere from smaller bands to huge bands. And I wrote down some of them just because I wanted people to know like how many like great bands and artists are getting involved. 5 Seconds of Summer is one of them. Billie Eilish, Beyonce, Drake, Kesha, Taking Back Sunday, Youngblood himself, Wallows, The Wonder Years, Paramore, State Champs. And then another one that we had talked about a little bit as well, who has his own stuff going on, is Usher. He is part of Headcount as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, so Headcount is just like really cool. And anybody listening, if you check it out, if you have yet to register to vote, you can check and see, you know, if any of your favorite artists are on there, what they're doing in regards to it. If you want to support some venues or some festivals, they have all kinds of stuff on there, and it's really awesome, very informative.
Oh, that's so cool. And also the fact that for me is what people need to realize is if all of these amazing people are endorsing this and encouraging this, then maybe it's the time to actually pay attention and do that, because a change needs to happen, and they can be a massive part of that change. And also the fact that through endorsing that and going through Headcount,
Yeah.
they're going to get something cool and like a perk, like a new track or a live stream out of it as well. So why not go down that avenue if you're going to do it anyway? But if you weren't, like, pay attention and go it and go and do it.
And I think, like we said, also, for example, Youngblood, he is an artist based out of the UK, but even he knows how important it is for the United States to vote and to be registered to vote and all those things. So I think it's really cool to see all these.
And I feel like, oh, sorry to cut you off. I feel like he's also quite a big issue over here, even though our voting ways are different. He's always been very vocal about voting, and there is many a Youngblood show in the UK will have the chant with certain expletives and before the name of our Prime Minister, because for very similar reasons. So he's very encouraging of his 18 plus fans from registering to vote over here too. So, you know, the fact that he's doing it on both sides of the Atlantic and using his platform, that's just another reason to love him. Let's be honest.
How amazing he is, you know.
Yeah, we stand people too hard. But the last person I think that I've been learning a lot about lately, and you mentioned a minute ago, was Usher. And like, I knew Usher had done some cool things, but I didn't realize like how cool and how much of a difference he's made. So I think his organization, Usher's New Look, is over 20 years old. And if you go on the website, it has like so much detail. It has the history of the organization, how it started and why it started. And the main thing is the youth leadership programs that he's created. and he's done things where, you know, there's 3 different types of programs from middle school, high school, and college level programs that basically, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I get my wording right, because that would be embarrassing if I didn't. But yeah, he's basically, he's allocated the use of these programs in under-resourced areas that don't have necessarily the access to as good education as other places do. And the fact that he has done that, I believe he started it with his mother, is such an incredible thing. And he's even adapted it in 2020 so that people, I think they could register up to the 28th of August, but it was so that they can still virtually do these programs from their home. So, you know, it's something that he's giving, and he's giving even more by adapting it to like the way the world is right now as well. And in 2020, he started something called 20 for 20 fundraiser. And basically with that, he's, I don't know if he's achieved it yet. I'd like to think he has, but he wanted to 20,000 people to donate $20 a month for 12 months. And that was going to be a way of fundraising with the respect, obviously, that you can't necessarily fundraise the normal way you would this year. So it's really, really nice just hearing about how many people who've got a platform, who've got the money, who've in a lot of ways got the life, using their voices, when honestly they could quite happily just hole up in their homes in lockdown and let everything pass them by. But they're not doing that. They're using where they are as a way to help other people. And if they can do that, it should be enough encouragement for us and other people to take a leaf out of their book and join them in doing that. Personally, that's what I think anyway.
I think you nailed it. I mean, not only did Usher give us Confessions and Justin Bieber, but he also gave us a kick-ass
yeah, that was a bop.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm losing my words because I'm so excited about it.
I said, I was literally singing yeah, and then you were like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, he gave us that. He gave us some Bieber. Now he's given us a really cool, what's it called? I'm losing my train of thought. He's given us a really cool
organization.
Thank you. There it is. And like you said, it touches all these important things, and especially mental health, financial, and the fact that he's doing it virtual now because of everything going on. It's amazing. And like you said, I absolutely 100% agree. I think that artists taking the time out to kind of touch on these things is super important because they have such a big voice on the generation that when they say things, I think that they stick a little bit more, especially with the younger crowd. It's just so important to get your voices out there and be heard and stand up for stuff that you believe in.
I mean, I'm in my 30s, and it wasn't until I was in my 30s I even really watched the news.
Yeah.
Before then, it was always whoever I looked up to as an artist, as a singer or an actor or anything. It was them who I was going onto social platforms and listening to. And it's just great to see that. I mean, I know it's happened through the years, but how many more voices are out there now compared to how it used to be. It isn't just the occasional person anymore. And I'm sure there are dozens upon dozens, if not hundreds of people that we haven't mentioned today, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to mention them in the future. And also any of the organizations that we've discussed today, if you want to, and the things that these artists support or endorse, I'm going to make sure that we put all the possible links that we can for you to go and learn about them in the description below on YouTube, and hopefully in the description on Spotify. But if not, the link to the YouTube video will be there, and you can go and click over and read them so that you can learn about them more and maybe see how you guys listening can help if you want to as well. And also, if you've got someone that you think that we should be shouting out and talking about because of all the cool things they do, hit us up with a comment in the comment section below on YouTube, or send us a tweet to the honeypot. We would love to hear from you guys. Is there anything else you wanted to add today, Danny?
Nope, I would just say keep rocking and register to vote, and
register to vote.
And that's all I got.
If you want to change the world, you've got to do it before November 3rd. Simple. But yeah. Goodbye, everyone.